Well, Australia seemed to have gate-crashed India's summer opening party at Visakhapatnam after winning what looks like to be a good toss now by Aaron Finch. He's managed to restrict a pretty strong-looking Indian batting lineup to just 126, considerably well below par on an average score at Vizag. KL Rahul with a 50 to at least make a point of his own. MS Dhoni at the end, just a few overs of almost farcical batting when he couldn't rotate strike with the tail that India had. Australia, Nathan Coulter-Nile among the wickets, Behrendorff among the wickets as well. And India going from 80 for 2 in the 10th over to 109 for 7 in the 17th. That's not pleasant when in a T20 game when you're trying to up the ante in the last 10. Hemang Badani and Sean Tate with me on ESPN Cricket for Match Day, presented by Maruti Suzuki. As we get into our talking points, what on earth went wrong there, Hemang?
I think we just faltered in the middle. There wasn't much happening at one point in time. India was about 65 for 1, and then you can't be out for 126. That's just not good enough for me. Rahul 50, probably at that point in time. I'm just being a little harsh at Rahul at the moment for the simple reason that if you've got to a 50, you've still got about 7-8 overs to go.
Sure.
Probably he could have hung on a little longer. Having said that, you also needed someone else to kind of bat at that point in time. You had Rishabh Pant coming in and going, Dinesh Karthik coming in and going, Krunal Pandey coming in and going. There wasn't much happening in the middle, so probably one was the Rahul wicket, and then the middle order. There was nothing much in the middle really.
Okay, it odes for a good fight back by Australia's bowlers, doesn't it, Teddy? Because they got the Rohit Sharma wicket early, but Kohli and KL Rahul, who I must give you full credit for picking in your Fab 4, but you can gloat a bit later. Excellent comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, you can sort of sit there and talk about the wicket and what it might have been. But look, India went off to a pretty good start, so you can't really blame the wicket. I think the Australian bowlers bowled really well on that pitch. They banged the ball in and they kept things really simple. Simple, proper cricket. There was no real demons or anything like that. But, Rahul looked pretty good. You got to look at that middle order there. I mean, some of the shots, obviously a run out doesn't help, but some of the shots being played, Pandya's shot, obviously you looked at Karthik to make a few runs through the middle there and just didn't get going.
Yeah, let's get into that. The middle order debacle that seems to have cost India 5 for 29 in a period of 7 overs after you had a steady start. It'll also just throw some light on how India scored through that innings, because they look good for that 175 that both Hemang and Sean thought that they would get, given the strength of this batting lineup and the fact that Visakhapatnam doesn't really pose too many demons. 1 to 6, 49 runs and just the wicket of Rohit Sharma. Then 5 for 51. Australia enjoyed that period of bowling, and it was just a bit silly at the end with MS Dhoni having to farm all the strike, given there isn't much batting pedigree. The middle order still perhaps is one of those questions that are going to be asked about India's limited overs side, Hemang. No matter what the personnel, somehow if one of the top 3, today there's no Shikhar Dhawan, but if one of the top 3 don't carry on, they're vulnerable.
That's been there for a while, if you ask me. There have been guys at the middle that we've tried. We've tried Dinesh Karthik, we've tried Rishabh Pant recently, we've tried Raidu in the middle, we've tried Kedar Jadhav in the middle, but I think you still can't really tell me that this is the guy that who's going to bat for you in the middle order.
Yes.
You know for a fact that you have a Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan and Virat Kohli. Those 3 numbers are taken, but after that it's still open. Yes, a Dhoni will bat at some point in time. You might still look at a Raidu in the ODI format. But if you still ask me that, okay, this is an impact player, this is the guy we can depend on, this is the guy who will take us forward in the middle overs, I still find there's a big question mark there.
Okay, Teddy, would I be too harsh on Australia's bowlers if I say there wasn't anything exceptional about their bowling, and some of those shots by India's batsmen just helped and added to their downfall?
No, but I think the best thing about Australia's bowling is they just kept it simple. And in T20 cricket, teams can tend to get really funky, and even with selections, picking guys that run in and bowl slower balls for a living all the time and try all these different things all the time. I think if you got big, tall, strong, fast bowlers to pick from, just pick them in your side. And more often than not, they're probably going to do a pretty good job with one quality spinner in a Zampa. Just kept things nice and simple. But you're right, just a couple of shots that the Indian guys played, and even Rohit Sharma early on, did he need to play that shot? It is T20 cricket. You're going to see shots played like that, but a guy that can stand still and hit the ball down the ground like he can, I'm not sure he needs to play that shot early on either.
Would you go with that it was just simple, sticking to the basic sort of bowling that made it hard to get away?
Absolutely. I like the way they went about doing the things. They bowled the hard length, they kept hitting the back of length. In a shorter format, as Sean mentioned earlier, that you tend to try and do too many things at some point in time. You want to try and bowl the slower ball, you want to try the Yorker, you want to bowl the wide Yorker. If you look at Dhoni's innings also, they did not even try bowling one Yorker to Dhoni.
Sure.
Dhoni is someone who loves the Yorker, waits for the Yorker, and keeping that in mind, length at the bowl to Dhoni also was back of length and nothing to tee off really. And even with the other guys to bat in front of him, there was everything back of length, hitting the hard lengths, and to me that was just about good enough. And sometimes, as Sean also mentioned, that you get a feeling that in the shorter format, let me try this, let me try that. But they were pretty simple, clinical about the performance.
Yeah, 4 outright fast bowlers. They didn't even give Marcus Stoinis a ball, which is now also, when India's batting goes down, harsh questions tend to be asked. One from Rohan Shukla on Facebook. Now MS Dhoni had it hard for him, given the fact that he was batting with the tail for the latter part of that innings. But there is a question on whether it's time that he have a look about his T20 future at least, his T20I future at least. Hemang, tough question.
Tough question, yes. At this point in time, see, let's face facts. Dhoni isn't the same player that he used to be. Isn't somebody who can strike the ball like he used to earlier. Struggles a bit, needs a bit more time in the innings as he progresses. He gets better with a few balls, but the old Dhoni isn't there. It's about time that the management thinks that do we still have a position? Do we still have something that we can use Dhoni as a batsman? Or is it Dhoni that we are using Dhoni primarily as a keeper who can bat a bit? But he isn't the same Dhoni.
Okay, now I'm sure in this game, Sean, you can ask the question of the rest of the guys that no one else got a score and MS Dhoni had to just hang around to make sure India don't get bowled out. But if you've played, 37 balls, there are a few of those where you've chosen not to rotate strike. Are you still expecting a player of Dhoni's ability, even of today's Dhoni's ability, to at least strike it over 100?
Possibly, but I think it's probably been a little bit harsh considering the circumstances tonight. I think the Australians bowled really well to Dhoni. But at the same time, I think Dhoni was really good in Australia in the series we just had here. If you're going to go on recent form, if anything, he's probably got to go up the order. And I know that sounds really silly at the moment, but going on tonight, the way some of those guys played, maybe Dhoni should go higher up the order.
Right, 20 dot balls out of 37 for MS Dhoni, but perhaps today is not the day to ask questions of him given the problems that seem to be around MS Dhoni in that batting lineup. Let's move on, shall we, and focus a little bit more on KL Rahul, the one bright shining prospect for India in this game. He would have been under some personal pressure, and the first game of the series dropped, or rather picked, for Shikhar Dhawan, who's rested, trying to make a claim. Good innings, not a bad innings for his own cause.
Well, in all fairness, as we mentioned earlier, that probably he was someone whom I didn't think would get a chance in the T20 format. Keeping in mind his current form, let's not forget that he's actually got a couple of hundreds in this format, has done pretty well for himself in this format, but yes, his current form hasn't been the best. But the way he went about his innings was a bit streaky to start with, had a few shots which could have gone elsewhere, did get him a couple of boundaries, but after that, the way he kind of went on to bat, the way he hit that 6 down the ground of Zampa's bowling, looked in good shape, and crucial runs for him, 50 odd runs, and that will at least give him some confidence and also will kind of remind the selectors again that I'm still around and don't forget about me.
Yep, and Jason Behrendorff, let's not forget about him, got started off very well with the new ball, second innings almost underway, but word on Jason Behrendorff, who I quite like the look of and started his T20I career very well, Teddy, in these parts last year.
Yeah, he did, absolutely. He had a good go. I think he took 4 for a man of the match or something. So, obviously a good player. I mean, it was interesting. I actually didn't think they were going to pick him for this game, but, he certainly proved his worth there. So he's had a pretty good time of it against India, over the last sort of 12 months. So, good on him. And it probably adds a good balance to their attack, throwing the left armour in there with the other right arm quick. So, no, he's done well. And obviously in the field with his run out was... It showed, guys like Pat Cummins as well, he can bat, bowl, and he's had some fantastic run-outs, and maybe Behrendorff's in the same category.
Yeah, I mean, that perhaps arguably triggered the collapse, that run-out of Rishabh Pant. Right, final question, is this going to be a straightforward chase, or are we in for some fun with 2 wrist spinners and Bumrah and whatnot?
I would say the game will be set up in the first 6 overs. If India does get a few wickets up front, then probably there could be a game at hand, but otherwise I think... we're at least about 20 to 2 short.
All right, Teddy, Australia straightforward, take this home?
You would think so. We're going to get a good indication of the wicket, I suppose, when the Aussies bat on it as well. But, they should win the game from here for sure.
Okay, let's pick up the conversation in about an hour and a half's time. Do join us for Maruti Suzuki Presents